Welcome back to Naval Greed. Today we'll be following through with the rest of the French battleships, going over the high explosive secondaries. Now Gascogne and Richelieu didn't really have any good secondary builds, I guess you could say. For example, Richelieu has most of her secondaries in the back, so if you were in a battle tanking position, they were pretty much worthless. But if anything got behind you, you would be able to handle it pretty okay. Lafayette, or Gascogne here, uh, isn't that much better, honestly. In fact, her main battery is split up in a way where she has one turret in the front and one turret in the back, which is actually slightly worse than Richelieu, in my opinion. That being said, she still does have the three triple 6-inch guns, and then a bunch of smaller secondaries on the side. Might be easier if we actually looked at this version of Gascogne. Alright, so you have the triple 6-inch here, and then you have the smaller ones along the sides here. Now, again, the 6-inch ones used to fire armor piercing, but now they fire high explosive. Out of all the French battleships, though, I think Gascogne is the one that uses her secondaries the least. Mainly that is because she has the farthest main gun range of all battleships at this tier. And so she kind of has to be played as a sniper, which I do have that aiming system module equipped. I do not have the secondary module, nor do I have the secondary crew skill. I am slowly working on it, but I do not have that. Again, she has a speed boost, she has a repair, and a heal as well. So let's toss into a game and see what we can do with these secondaries. Alright, we have ourselves a game. We have a carrier, quite a few battleships, a couple cruisers, and a couple destroyers. So let's see what we can do against these. No new Russian battleships yet. I have been seeing them in quite a few games, mainly at tier 9 and tier 10. But not any in this game, but that's alright. So we have a Kaga, Veneto, King George, a Tirpitz, a Gascogne, another Gascogne, another King George, a Kitakami, a Helena, a Lefantesque, and a Kagero. So even if we do get into secondary range with these battleships, it's really not going to do anything because it's just going to come in at such a flat angle. It's going to hit the main belt armor and just shatter all the HE shells. So I'm not really expecting much from there. Against these cruisers, especially Kitakami, definitely would be able to do a lot of damage against her, but you don't really want to be that close to a Kitakami either. And then same thing with the destroyers, but similar results if you get torpedoed. So there's no real reason to go full secondary with Gascogne. Honestly, if you just want to be a long-range sniper, that would definitely work to your advantage. So I do have health buffs and speed buffs applied, so do keep that in mind. This is not the base ship. And we're going to start heading off into this direction. Now, out of all of the I guess you could say modern French battleships, starting with like Dunkirk and higher, Gascogne would probably be my least favorite. Like I said, just the way her main armament is split up with one main turret in the front and one main turret in the back, it really has a large impact on how she plays, because you have to give a lot of broadside in order to get all your guns on target, and sometimes you need to angle in, and therefore you only use half of your main guns. So she's not really my favorite, but she can be quite effective. Right now we're just going to start out with high explosive and get some fires going. Let's just keep launching some high explosive here. She does have 4 turrets and 2 mounts, similar to, Richelieu and Dunkirk, and we will see that quite a bit going up the line as well with Alsace and Jeanne d'Arc. Yeah, so we're getting a couple fires here. Let's see if we can hit this Le Fantasque. Now, like I said, I don't have any of the secondary skills right now, so I believe my secondary range is still about 5.5. It might be about 5.6 or 7 now, since I started working on the skill. Oh, yep, 5.8 or so. Alright, so let's see. Nope, a secondary kill right off the bat. Alright, what about this Kitakami? What can we do against Kitakami here? So HE. It looks like the Snowman secondaries are shooting AP, but I believe that's just part of the camo. I don't think they actually are. I think it's all high explosive. But you can see you do get damage, it's just not a lot. So we're going to finish up Gascogne here. We're going to switch to armor piercing and use a speed boost, and let's start off. The secondaries are going at it again. Alright, so let's see what we can do against this Gascogne. Now the belt armor on Gascogne is not really the best either, but that goes true for any French battleship. If you get just the right angle, you can citadel her pretty easily without a problem. Oh, we got a fire with our secondaries as well. There's the nice little heal. I do like the snow heal for this camo. There we go, 2 citadels right there. Can send a couple shells towards Kaga. We don't really have a lot of AA. It's not absolutely the worst, but it's not really the best either. There's another citadel. Let's send some more shells into the broadside there for another citadel there. And we can probably take another pot shot at Kaga here. I guess this King George is giving us a slightly better target than anything else right now. Yeah, a little damage. It'll work. And yeah, you just kind of slowly pick off every single one of the ships one by one. We are actually getting quite a few secondary hits, but hits doesn't matter if they don't do damage. So we're going to see what our actual secondary damage is at the end of the game and see if it was worth it in any way. But you can see how accuracy is quite important here, because you do kind of want to stay at range. Even just that small little secondary brawl I had with that Veneto, I lost quite a bit of health, and I actually had to end up using a heal. Well, actually it's a Tirpitz, I was wrong. So that would explain why I lost so much health. But still, Tirpitz, Bismarck, Veneto, all those ships do have pretty decent secondaries against battleships at close range. So nothing you really want to be that close to. We're getting some good damage on these battleships. Nothing exactly devastatingly strong, since there's only, well, 8 guns total. But you still get to do some decent damage. Take some major chunks out. Our secondaries are opening up again. And there goes the Veneto there. Our speed boost is almost up, so we can go and rush down that carrier in a moment, because we do need her down eventually. And George V is stuck between a bunch of battleship wrecks, so we'll see if I can actually get any shells through. We got a little bit through. Alright, let's see what else we can do for her before we come around this island here. No, we're not going to get anything before. Alright, so let's take a shot at this Gascogne then. So this ship is pretty decent. Like I said, if you keep it at mid to long range. Wow, that was actually pretty pathetic. That didn't do anything. But if you go close range, you're going to always be at a disadvantage. So just don't do that, and you should be okay. See if we can actually cap this base here. Also, having the longest range out of all battleships is very nice, because you can, well, stay at range where you're more or less able to dodge shells pretty decently and not have to worry about getting close in to actually do damage. You can do damage quite fine at range, it just might not be very fast. Alright, Alright, let's do one last salvo of armor piercing and switch to high explosive again. Because after the carrier is a destroyer if we get close enough to actually attack it. And we should be able to do quite a bit of damage against this Kaga with our 15-inch high explosive. Accuracy still needs some work, but we're still able to land 50% of the shots. Gonna have to get that accuracy cruise skill as well, just to make her a little bit better. Wow, she actually blocked 3 of those shells. Alright, so the Guerrero is down, which means we just have this Kaga to finish up. And I don't think I can get in close enough to do secondary range on her. And so we'll just finish up with our main guns. So let's see how our secondaries actually performed. Well, we did get 267,000 damage total. 4 ships were sunk, 108 shell hits, 4 aircraft shot down, 4 citadels, 8 fires, 1 module destroyed, 1 captive base, and 128 secondary hits. Now, out of those 128 secondary hits, we did less than 8,000 damage. So there's a ton of shatters, and it's all HE, so there's no armor piercing. So that was indeed just a camo making it look like they're armor piercing. It's still high explosive. But we had 37,000 damage in high explosive, 175,000 damage in armor piercing main shells, and then 46,000 damage from fires. Now we did actually light quite a few fires with our main guns. It was about 6 or so. And then I'm guessing the last 2 were from the secondaries. So in terms of setting fires, I mean, if it's only 2 fires out of 128 secondary hits, that's still not very good. And like I said, it's just going to shatter on larger targets. Don't really recommend secondary build on Gascogne, so you don't really feel the change with this ship between armor piercing and high explosive. There's just not that much of a difference because you don't really use your secondaries all that much on the ship. That is if you're playing her as a sniper or at longer ranges. But again, she's still not a bad ship, just not one of my favorites at all. But again, not terrible. So with that, I will wrap up today's video. If you liked the video, make sure you like and subscribe for further content, and join me tomorrow while we go over Jean Bart or Clemenceau. So again, thank you and take care.